All right, what's up, co-consuls? I think I may have hmm. I thought this was scheduled for 10. Oh, that sucks. I see this was scheduled for 9:30. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I see Allie was up here, so let me send Allie a message. I thought that's my bad. I thought I scheduled this for 10 p.m. I was actually proud of myself because I'm like, I'm on time, I'm early. Well, I suppose I'm not early. I'm sorry, Allie. Uh my Gmail is taking a while to come up. So while we're waiting for that, no, we don't want to go to that. We want to get to Lori. All right, I'm waiting for my thing to pop up here because I am so sorry, Allie. I need to find the video. I had a video. I need to find a way of syncing my phone to my MacBook because on my phone I had pulled up the video. Dang, everything's so expensive. Listen, I was, I bring this up because I've resorted to shopping from Fashion Nova because I just cannot afford shit. But even Fashion Nova is expensive. Like, why am I buying a $50 dress from Fashion Nova? Why is that a thing? I don't get it. But hold on, I actually thought I was on time, okay? But it turns out, I don't know. Allie, if you're here, let me know that you're here because I'm trying to. That's timing out. Hold on. I'm trying to get in contact with Allie, but my device is just taking forever. It's taking forever to load. I'm trying to get to Lori. There's a 30-minute video from Friday. I know I've been pushing this live back because I was gonna come up here on Friday, but then I got into some stuff. I got into some stuff. I was doing laundry. I decided to take my hair down, and Alexa's still talking to me. Yeah, I got into a lot. Hold on, I need to find the actual video. So while I'm okay, so it's Allie. I don't have to worry. Okay, so let me. Oh my goodness, now I'm completely out. I'm messing up tonight. Okay, so Allie's here. I can shut this down. For some reason, I cannot get to Gmail. All right, Allie's here, but Friday, Lori Vallow Daybell was acting up. She was acting up so much to the point I was like, okay, I need to go live. But I got into a lot of stuff, and then I got into a lot of stuff. So it was a 30-minute video. It was a 30-minute. I don't know. What are they doing? I don't know. They have a menu. They have a recipe. It was like 30 minutes from Friday. Nah, that's opening statements. So that's not it. It was a 30-minute. It was like 20 or 30-minute video. That's what I remember of her getting kicked out of the courtroom. That's not it. Let's quickly go to Law and Crime. I don't think it's on Law and Crime, though. I don't think it's on Law videos. They have a lot going on. Diddy. Oh, maybe it's this. Maybe it is Law and Crime. I remember it being 30, 20 minutes. All right, let us get into it. And I apologize. Listen, if I ever okay, so Allie said she was acting a fool. If I ever schedule a video on the weekend, you guys have to forgive me. I'm not in my right mind. Like I am not in my right mind. I need to stop scheduling videos on the weekend. But if we don't get to this now, I know that we ever will. So let's get into Lori. Okay, let us get into Lori.
Would you like?
No, so this is somebody else's commentary. I don't want that. No, no. So let's go back to East Idaho. I should have looked up the video in advance, but I literally just finished washing. Like I just finished taking a bath. I had to wash my shower, so I'm behind schedule. I know, Allie. Do you know where are the actual proceedings? Maybe let's go to the live. Today's what? No, that's day one. We don't want day one. It has to be day 2. Oh, there we go. So let me just try and find the timestamp. Let's see if we can find a timestamp of her being booted from the courtroom. Let's see. Okay, break. Okay, that's the start. That's the break. Arguments cross. No, I want you to tell me when she is getting booted out. That's what I need to know. And I'm just gonna play somewhere. I'm gonna start somewhere.
Myself and my wife.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, is that sounds like her? That sounds like her, and she's still saying okay.
So that argument ended up beginning your divorce
still in the
proceedings. Is that correct?
At the end of that argument, she told me that she needed a divorce. Correct.
When does she get kicked out?
And who filed for divorce?
No, bueno, I don't like this.
And when was that?
In July.
She's still in the courtroom, though. I'll just play over.
Erase those, or they've outdone their period.
I'm exhausted.
Upholding those,
I'm ready for bed.
then they won't be there. Just the fact that a text message or
Yeah,
an
that
SMS
doesn't make sense. That does not make sense at all. Was she booted out for like a little bit and then they brought her back, or what exactly happened? Okay, I'll just play here. I'll play this.
That sidebar again discussed similar issues of if the defendant brings in evidence or testimony that she was a good person and no ill intent.
All right, we'll have to redo Lori. I can't do it tomorrow because I have some studying to do tomorrow. Let me see. Let me look at my schedule, but Friday, okay, I am committing now, okay? So on Friday, but I leave work early on Thursday, though. Let me think about it. Either I'll announce on Tuesday. Either on Thursday or Friday, we have to cover Lori because I'm way behind on Lori.
Sorts of things and specific acts of her being a good person, it could open the door to other things that she may not want the door open to. The state, the defendant, and advisory council.
She has a nice suit on, though. Shout out to Lori. She has a really nice
suit on. We're at the bench when we had that short 1 minute sidebar, but I don't know if anyone wants to supplement the record on that. Ms. Kay?
Just, Your Honor, that again, the state did raise any issue of character evidence under 404A and 405, that if the defendant opens the door and tries to advise that she's a good person, a peaceful person, a kind person, a loving person, any of those other types of things, that we believe that would allow us under 405 to then bring in specific acts, such as the murder of her children, her husband, and her current husband's wife.
All right.
Which would also be 404B that they withdrew.
No, it'd be 405.
Yeah, they withdrew it, but if you bring up 404 that you...
Then all 404B is in, or do we get a hearing on what 404B can come in? If I open the door, do I get a hearing? We stop trial and I get a hearing on...
Stop. We'll have a very short hearing, okay? If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders. So
and would you
talk to your advisory council during the break. And
you don't need to yell at me either.
Hold on. Our girl said what? Let's go back. Let us just go back. She said what?
A good person, a peaceful person, a kind person, a loving person,
Lori told
any
us.
of those other types of things that we believe that would allow us under 405 to then bring in specific acts such as the murder of her children, her husband, and her current husband's wife.
All right.
Which would also be 404B that they withdrew.
That would be
Yeah,
405.
they withdrew it, but if you bring up 404 that you.
Then all 404B is in, or do we get a hearing on what 404B can come in? If I open the door, do I get a hearing?
Lori, I don't even know, Lori. At least for this trial, Lori should have actually, gone with a public defender's office or somebody.
We stop trial and I get a hearing on.
Because she also, again, Lori's not a real lawyer, but she does not understand how problematic it is for her to bring out evidence about her good character.
Stop. We'll have a very short hearing, okay?
Okay.
If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders.
And
So
would you
talk
like?
to your advisory counsel during the break. And
You don't need to yell at me either.
yelling at you, okay?
Yeah, you are, and you do not need to talk to me that way. I'm
Take
very
her out.
courteous.
Take her out.
I'm very courteous to
Take
you.
her out. No, you have been nothing near courteous to me during the course of these proceedings.
Oh my goodness.
Talk with your advisory counsel about the rest of your cross. We're going to resume in 15 minutes.
Lori, what is she wear? Hold on. The suit's kind of nice, but what?
Resume in 15 minutes.
What does she have? I don't know. That looks like a hospital gown. Like the blue part. Okay. Lori told the judge to shut up. Hold on. I need to find something else. I'd have loved to see what led up to her being thrown out. Hold on. Okay, hold on. It's the same video now.
Yesterday, Mr. Abernathy, one of the advisory council, said he would be late today because he had a childcare issue, but that Ms. Hicks, the other advisory council, would be here and ready to start at 9:30. What time did that email come in?
Just the email came in at 9:20, but she was printing off pictures.
All right, so we got an email at 9:20 saying she's still at her office printing off pictures, which is wholly
I'm sorry, Allie. I should have been looking at your messages. Allie said timestamp 128 is a start of her getting kicked out, and she was only out for a short time. Yeah, I figured she was only out for a short time based on that video. So they started out hot. Okay, this is the start of her getting kicked out. She just wants to argue with the judge. LOL, but I guess she has nothing to lose. The judge is right. She's already convicted of 4 unalivings. Yeah, Lori, Vallow, Daybell definitely has nothing. I hate to put it that way, though, because I still think an attorney potentially could have preserved her appellate rights, but Lori, I don't know, Lori. That's what they have going on. Oh, the judge said what?
All right, so we got an email at 9:20 saying she's still at her office printing off pictures, which is wholly unacceptable.
Who did not show up?
Yesterday, Mr. Abernathy, one of the advisory council, said he would be late today because he had a childcare issue, but that Ms. Hicks, the other advisory council, would be here and ready to start at 9:30. What time did that email come?
Those attorneys, I don't know. They just left this girl by herself.
Come in.
Just the email came in at 9:20.
But then again, maybe Lori doesn't listen to anybody. So
All right, so we got an email at 9:20 saying she's still at her office printing off pictures, which is wholly unacceptable. Ms. Daybell, you represent yourself. You do not need your advisory council here. But I'm going to split the difference. She's being sent an email that says if she's not here at 9:50, we're going to start.
Okay.
If there's pictures that need to be printed off, staff can do that. Staff can bring it over later, but should have been here at 9:30.
Right.
If this were federal court, she'd probably be going into custody. I mean, this
Ooh.
is ridiculous. All right, I'm just letting everyone know what the holdup is. We're going to start at 9:50.
Judge, at 9:50, I do need to make a record regarding character evidence and the defendant opening the door before she questions some
Okay,
witnesses.
so this is how they started off. Got it. They started off with the attorneys not showing up, and then the attorneys or standby counsel showed up, and Lori was thrown out, or she was put in timeout. Lori was put in timeout for, I don't know, 15 minutes or something along those lines.
Okay,
Just want to make sure that that's out there so she's aware of that.
we'll do that at 9:50. Do you want to stay out here or go back?
All right, so that's it. While I'm having my dinner, I guess let's start with opening statements. I won't be up here too long. I will not be up here too. How long? I've probably already been up here for 15 minutes. Yep. Okay, her advisory council. Yeah, I've been up here for like 15 minutes or so. Let's see. Day one. Let's get into opening statements. I'm going to mute myself for a little bit because Allie, I don't think you want to hear me chew. Like, you do not want to hear me chew and smack. So, yeah, on Tuesday, though, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, let us get into Dr. Wolf because I've just not been keeping up with, or at least I try not to watch, what's her name again? Karen Reed while I'm at work because she distracts me. It's really distracting. But absent anything out of the ordinary happening Monday or Tuesday, then we're going to get into Dr. Wolf. All right, come on.
To his then wife, premeditated to shoot.
We don't need to listen to her. We need Lori. That's who we need to get into. So let's get into Lori's opening. Dang, that was actually a short opening from the prosecution. Let's get into Lori. I'm going to mute myself. Okay. Allie's having a dinner too. Yeah, I'm going to mute myself a little bit because it's late. I need to have my dinner.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Listen, Allie, I don't know. I had a fantastic weekend. It's been a while. I don't really go out. Like, going out is not my thing. That's for when I was younger. I just parent. On the weekend, I work and I parent. So I worked a little bit on Saturday. And I had to return my daughter's violin because it was a lease. So I returned that. And then after that, I lay down for a little bit because I'm constantly starting and restarting dreadlocks, okay? I had locks for a little over a year, maybe 2 years or something along those lines. Did not like how thick they were. So I took them out. I combed them out. That was my big mistake. I should have just shaved my hair off. I've shaved my hair off before, like 2 or 3 times. I should have just shaved my hair off because my edges, they're almost gone, okay? So I was restarting dreadlocks, but my part was crooked. It was a mess. Anyway, so I dealt with my hair a little bit and I was extremely tired. And I'd already planned on going to a show, like my daughter and I'm not going to tell you who we saw, because if I tell you who we saw, you won't know the city, but you'll definitely know the state. And we don't want that. I had a really, really, really good weekend. The music was just stupendous. The music was everything. Anyways, let me mute myself.
Here we are at trial. And the judicial system can be difficult to understand at times.
I'm
There
sorry.
are laws, and rules, and statutes that
Girl said what?
jury.
She said, "Here we are."
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here we are at trial. And the judicial
We
system
need to give a better fitting.
can be difficult to understand at times.
Okay.
There are laws and rules and statutes that govern how things will proceed in this trial.
I definitely did a 50 big. This was a good weekend.
You yesterday got to hear the preliminary jury instruction, so you kind of got an order of how things are going to go. In order for someone to be charged with a crime, as I have been,
Your Honor, I'm going to object to argument versus a opening statement.
I'll remind the defendant, an opening statement should be a preview of what is to be expected at trial. So go ahead.
that law enforcement presents evidence that they gather, and the state prosecutors are going to present that to you. Sometimes the state charges a defendant with a crime. They have charged me with a crime, a very serious crime. Sometimes they take the allegations to a grand jury to decide if the defendant
I'm going
should
to
be
object
charged.
again, Your Honor. Improper
That's,
argument. Asked to strike.
Hold on. The jury should disregard that last comment. How the charges arrived here are not for the jury's consideration. The prior proceedings are not for the jury's consideration. Please proceed.
The state or the prosecution will then take the information gathered, the evidence from law enforcement, and present to you a story, a theory, their hypothesis of what happened. In this case, the prosecutor was not present during this alleged crime. The Gilbert Police Department was not present during this alleged crime. So it is their job to fill in the gaps, make up a theory, and present it to you, the jury, at trial. This is their job. They are not witness to the actual events because they weren't there that day with Brandon at the house when this alleged shooting occurred.
I don't know where Lori's going with this.
This case is about a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And a conspiracy is when two or more people make an agreement to commit a crime. They have to willingly and knowingly participate. Conspiracy is an ancient word that appears in the Bible on many occasions.
Wait, what?
Judas conspired against Jesus with the chief priests for
I'm going to
30 pieces of
Hold
silver.
on.
object to.
Hold on. Okay, I was not prepared. Lori, what kind of opening statement is this, Lori? Let us go back. She said what? Listen, I think we've established that Lori's not mentally well. Like, I understand religion to some extent, but Lori's far gone. She's definitely gone.
They have to willingly and knowingly participate. Conspiracy is an ancient word that appears in the Bible on many occasions. Judas conspired against Jesus with the chief priests for
I'm going to
30 pieces of silver.
object to unless this is being presented at trial, I'm not sure that this is appropriate opening.
I've not seen this. Even the judge does not know how to rule.
Is the legal objection?
Well, you're arguing. The opening statement is not argument. I'm going to allow it briefly, but I may cut you off depending on where you're going with that.
Cain conspired against Abel, his brother. This case is a case of conspiracy. The charge against me is that I conspired with my brother, Alex Cox, to murder my niece's husband, Brandon Boudreaux. But you will find, as you begin to see the evidence put forth in this case, that there was not any animosity between Brandon and myself. I personally did not have any motivation to have harm come to Brandon.
Ali said that she is going down a road she shouldn't, unless she likes hearing the DA saying objection. But this DA is a little annoying, though. I mean, it's proper. She does object a lot, but Lori, I don't know, Lori.
In fact, Brandon and I had a very friendly relationship all of the time that I have known him.
Okay.
I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to, unless the defendant's
Hold on.
testifying.
Can I have the parties approach briefly?
Then Lori
Can I have you
barely
approach
had
briefly?
opening. I like the prosecutor's suit.
Go ahead.
I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie.
Okay.
Melanie and I are very close because my sister, her mother, passed away when she was just 9 years old. So Melanie and I think of each other and love each other like a mother and daughter, even though we are aunt and niece.
Okay.
So our families remained close. Melanie and Brandon's family, and my family. And in each other's lives, like everyday lives. We spent holidays together and shared in everyday life.
Mhm.
I was there for Melanie and Brandon's wedding and for the birth of all 4 of their children.
Okay.
I was also very close to all 4 of their children. In this case, you will hear Brandon himself tell you that someone shot a gun at his car.
Okay.
You will learn in this testimony that Brandon was not hurt. You will learn that he wasn't even sure what had happened. But you will hear that Brandon immediately blamed me, which begs the question,
Why?
was I an enemy to Brandon? That is news to me, and hopefully by the end of this trial, we will all have some answers to that question. In this case, you will learn that Brandon had called 911 and Gilbert police did respond. You will learn that Brandon speaks of a puke green Jeep.
Okay.
And then he offers the officers a camo green color that he's speaking of on his phone. He says a green Jeep. Then you will hear the neighbor who says that it was a dark blue Jeep that was parked in front of the neighbor's house.
Do you drive a Jeep? Do you own a Jeep?
You will learn that Brandon very quickly hired a private investigator to find out where I was living out of the state of Arizona so he could inform the police.
Okay, what I suppose I really want to know, why would the I guess nephew by marriage, why would the nephew suspect her? What about Lori led the nephew to assume that she's the one that was shooting at him?
You will see Brandon exchange email information with Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case, about my whereabouts and about the financial dealings of my niece, Melanie Boudreau. You will learn that Brandon was not particularly satisfied with the investigation that Gilbert Police was conducting, so he did his own investigation, hiring his own private investigator to follow his wife, Melanie Boudreau.
Okay.
You will find out that Brandon had access to the VIN number of a Jeep and gave it to the police. You will find out that after that event, he quickly changed his story from a camo green Jeep to a gray Jeep. You will then learn that Brandon continued to provide information he was personally finding out to Detective Pillar.
We'll see though. Let's take a look at these facts because somebody on Reddit, okay? I'm not familiar with the facts surrounding the nephew's demise, but I cannot go by Reddit though. Somebody had a strong opinion as to doubt in this case. So some random person on Reddit had, opinions about how the prosecution could possibly prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Or the case agent in this case. You will learn that Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed through email how they can demonstrate Melanie's financial gain if Brandon were to have died around October 2nd, 2019. This is what a conspiracy looks like.
Hold on.
Learn to a gray agent. He quickly changed his story from hiring his own private investigator to follow his wife, Melanie Boudreau. You will find out that Brandon had access to the VIN number of a Jeep and gave it to the police. You will find out that after that event, he quickly changed his story from a camo green Jeep to a gray Jeep.
Okay.
You will then learn that Brandon continued to provide information he was personally finding out to Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case. You will learn that Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed through email how they can demonstrate Melanie's financial gain if Brandon were to have died around October 2nd.
Okay, so that's a difference. That's the first difference I'm noticing between this trial and the previous trial. So the previous trial in Arizona, there was no third-party culprit. Here, Lori is pointing to her niece as a third-party culprit, and her motive would have been financial. I mean, I cannot go by Lori's word, but that's what she's telling us.
2019. This is what a conspiracy looks like. Two people trying to set up another person for a crime. My niece, Melanie Boudreau, is named by the state as a co-conspirator. However, she has not been charged with the crime.
I'm going to object
But
and
I
have that
have.
struck as well, Your Honor.
Jury should disregard that statement. You're going to receive an instruction later that all persons that may be involved would not necessarily be charged or called as witnesses, and you'll follow those instructions later. Go ahead.
I was not living in Arizona at the time this alleged incident happened on October 2nd, 2019. I was not even aware such an event had taken place. I did have a close relationship with my brother Alex, but I was not aware of his every.
Go back a little bit.
Follow those
Parenting.
persons that may be involved would not necessarily be charged or called as witnesses.
All right. I'm wondering if Lori would have. I'm trying to figure out if Lori's calling witnesses this time around. There's a danger. There's a bit of a danger because in the Karen Reed trial, the defense has called some witnesses that I think they should not have called. The first one that comes to mind is really Kelly Dever. Defense should not have called that person. I know there was somebody in my comments, I don't remember their name, but they disagreed. And they thought that the defense should have called Kelly. Here's the thing, though, because I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just thinking. Okay, I always think about these things in real time. I'm thinking if Lori should or will call her niece. The problem with that, though, it could backfire. It could backfire because if the niece is, in fact, a co-conspirator, an uncharged co-conspirator, the niece is probably going to get on the stand and say, oh, we planned this thing together. So, I don't know.
And you'll follow those instructions later. Go ahead.
I was not living in Arizona.
Allie's not a big fan of Lori. Allie says, Lori, if you look up conspiracy in the dictionary, there's a picture of you as the definition. So, I don't know, Lori, I don't want to talk about Lori too much. I mean, eventually I am going to take on the role of standby counsel for Lori, but Lori is a very stressful client, okay? Very stressful.
At the time this alleged incident happened on October 2nd, 2019. I was not even aware such an event had taken place. I did have a close relationship with my brother Alex, but I was not aware of his every move. Melanie also had a close relationship with Alex, but also was not aware of his location at all times. Brandon and Alex also had a good relationship until this accusation. They saw each other frequently at all of our family parties and get-togethers and would often be seen laughing and talking. Alex was a comedian who kept our family laughing. Alex passed away in December 2019 of natural causes, so he is not here to defend himself.
And I'm going to object again to that as well, since he's not party to this. He's
All
not
right,
here.
I'll just remind the jury that.
Okay, so I suppose Lori did not run her opening by his standby counsel, or she did. I don't know. What is Lori's standby counsel actually doing? I have questions for them. I have serious questions for them.
What is said in opening statements?
I just don't see any real guidance here. And I understand. But here's the thing, though. I think standby counsel, those are public defenders. So Lori is probably not the most difficult defendant they've ever come across, unless maybe I don't know what they do in Arizona. But I have questions about the lack of guidance, or maybe she said don't guide me. I don't know.
This is not evidence. It's not sworn testimony. Please proceed.
Although the state has alleged that there are several co-conspirators in this case, I am the only one being charged with a crime. So you will be the judge. You will hear and see evidence presented by the state. The state has, according to the law, 100% burden to prove to you
I'm going to object to the statement of the law. in terms of 100%.
All right. Again, this is a little bit bordering on argument, but the jury will receive the instructions on what is and what is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
The state has the burden to prove that a crime has been committed here and that I committed that crime. That is the way the law is written. I do not have to show any evidence or put up a defense. I do not have to testify. That is the law. The prosecutors from the state have to prove to you that I conspired, meaning made an agreement with my brother to murder.
This is gonna sound crazy, but I actually do think about her a green chili enchiladas every once in a while, or her green chili chicken enchiladas. I need to get it together. I literally every once in a while when I'm thinking about random things, I think about Lori's recipe.
Brandon. So you will decide. Right now, according to the law, I am innocent. I remain innocent.
There is no way I'll forget about that. At least the line of questioning. She was very disappointed that her brother, the brother could not recall what they ate, and she made her famous enchiladas. So that's probably the most. I was gonna say that's the most memorable thing about her previous trial, but no, the text messages. I need to go back to those text messages. Those were probably the most memorable thing about that trial.
Until the state of Arizona and its prosecutors show you enough evidence to convince you that I had anything to do with this alleged crime. And I want you to look carefully and determine if this event was a crime at all. Did a shooting actually occur? Only Brandon claims that it did. Only Brandon names me and Alex. You will learn that Brandon himself did own a gun. You will learn that Brandon knew how to shoot his gun. You will learn that Brandon and Melanie were going through a divorce. And you will learn that even though Brandon is the one who actually filed for a divorce, he was blaming me for his divorce. You will learn that the information that the Gilbert Police Department and Detective Pillar, the case agent on this case, learned about me and my brother Alex was from Brandon Boudreaux. You will learn that Brandon and Detective Pillar communicated frequently and were on a first name basis. I want you to look closely at the motivation of Brandon and the Gilbert Police Department, because I'm the only one charged with the crime, and I need you to decipher what really happened here, because I'm the only one who's being asked to pay a consequence for this crime.
Again, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to object and strike that. There's
Sustained, the jury in their instructions received an instruction that said the jury is not to consider a penalty. That will be in the final instructions there as well. The jury's job is to determine whether or not the state has proved the case beyond a reasonable doubt or the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Go ahead, proceed.
You will hear many references during this trial about the state versus Lori Daybell. Well, who is the state? The state are the prosecutors.
I object to argument and relevance.
What is she about to say?
And you, the jury, are brought in to stand between the state and me.
And I'm going to object again to improper statement of the law, argument and relevance.
Sustained.
You are here to say if a crime has even been committed at all. You are here to say if I committed this very crime and if the state proved this to you beyond a reasonable doubt. If at the end of this trial you have reasonable doubt, then I remain innocent. If the state does not prove to you that I, 1, committed a crime, and 2, committed this crime, then I remain innocent.
All right, Lori. Man, stuff's so expensive.
In this case, you will hear a lot of speculation. The definition of speculation is an idea or guess about something that is not known. During this trial, the state will try to convince you that I committed this crime by using speculation, innuendo, and insinuation.
I'm
And the state is hoping that this will
Allie,
be
whatever
enough.
your name is not objecting.
In this
Okay.
trial, you will in fact witness a power struggle between the state and the defendant.
Okay.
Your Honor,
For
I'm
what
gonna
a fact
object to
really
argument.
is.
Girl said a power.
Sustained.
Because they want to convince you, the jury, that a fact is speculation, that a fact is innuendo, that a fact is insinuation, that they knew what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was planning, when they don't know at all.
Okay, she's making a little sense over there.
You, the jury, have all the power to decide what the facts are and what they're not. Not the state, not the judge, not law enforcement. You.
Okay.
So I implore you
All right.
to listen carefully and decide for yourselves if the state's theory really makes logical sense. What motivation did I have? What malice have I ever shown to anyone? What benefit would I gain? I am a person who loves all people and has no malice towards anyone, not even the prosecutors who wrongfully
What do
tried
you
to
say,
convict me.
Allie?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to
What do you say,
relevance of the
Allie?
argument.
Sustained.
Lori,
I am all about spreading love and will continue to do so, even after this trial is complete, no matter the result.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. That's the conclusion.
All right, the state can call its first witness.
Thank you.
They jumped
The
right
state will
into it.
call Brandon Kudra.
They jumped right into it.
Your
Mr.
Honor, could we
Boudreaux,
have a,
You're going to come up here and be sworn in by
Oh,
the clerk.
Allie was parenting. Lori said that she has no malice against anybody, and I'm paraphrasing here. But apparently, according to her, she shows love towards everybody, something along those lines. So, what do you have an opinion? Do you have a say?
They can spell your first and your last name.
This should be good cross though, because Lori will have,
You do solemnly swear the testimony
you know,
about to give
firsthand information about the nephew.
so help you God?
All right, sir, go around the court reporter, have a seat up here to my left.
Your Honor, could we have a sidebar?
Is it about what we discussed earlier?
Mhm.
The state's probably going to, you won't complete your direct before lunch?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
I will. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Brandon Boudreaux. I live here in Arizona.
And if you can pull the mic just a little closer to you and roll in a little closer. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay. How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 40 years old.
You said you're currently living in Arizona?
I am, yes.
What do you do for a living?
Currently, I own a solar company.
Okay.
A what?
I want to talk to you.
What company?
Currently, I own a solar company.
Okay.
Oh,
What
solar.
do you do for a living?
Currently, I own a solar company.
Okay.
Then here's the one thing about Lori and all her people. These were some money people, okay? Most of these people work for themselves. They did very well. It sounds like they did. I mean, sometimes not everybody knows how to manage money, but it sounds like they did well financially, okay?
I want to talk to you sort of about your marriages. Are you currently married?
I am.
Who's he married to?
Do you have a prior marriage?
That's what I was about to say. I'm like, wait, what? Anyway, so Allie says, I mean, she unalived her own children. Apparently, she's lying, saying she had no malice towards anybody. Oh, no. No, I don't know.
I did, yes.
I want to talk.
I don't know. Again, Mr. Boudreaux. Let's move on. I was just going to say he's a very brave man to have gone allegedly. I don't know that any of these allegations are true. To have been married to somebody that conspired with her relatives to take you out, and you're going to get married a second time? I don't know.
Talk about your prior marriage. When did you get married initially?
I was married initially October 31st, 2008.
And who were you married to?
Melanie Cope at the time, she became Boudreaux.
How long were you and Melanie married?
A little over 10 years.
Okay.
Did you two have any children?
We have 4.
That's a lot of kids.
Do you recall approximately when you began divorce proceedings with Melanie?
It would have been in July of 2019.
And do you recall approximately when your divorce with Melanie was finalized?
It would have been in October of 2019.
Okay.
Was it before or after October
A
2nd?
year.
It was the middle of October.
Okay.
Okay. So I suppose the allegations are prior to it being finalized?
So after.
Oh, after?
Now, do you have family here in Arizona?
I have a brother who lives in Tucson now, but at the time I did not have any family here in Arizona.
They lived in another state.
Yes.
Did Melanie have family that lived here in Arizona?
Yes, she did.
Oh, maybe the niece takes a stand on behalf of the prosecution.
Did you know someone by the name of Lori Vallow?
I did. That was Melanie's aunt.
And did you spend a lot of time with Melanie's aunt, Lori Vallow?
Yes, we spent a lot of time together.
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point her out and tell us what she's wearing?
She's directly behind you wearing glasses and a blue top.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
It shall.
When you knew or were spending time with Lori Vallow, was she married at that time?
Let's get to cross.
She was.
Who was her husband then?
Charles Vallow.
And how often would you see Lori Vallow and her family?
Pretty often. We would spend holidays together. We often vacation together.
Figure out what had just happened.
Hold on.
That you thought it might be a paintball gun because 19, you
I'm trying to find cross. Wait, did she not cross the man? Or was that redirect? Hold on. I was trying to find cross. That's always the fun part. Did she not cross?
emotions and trying to figure out how to handle this and texting your dad. Did the police ask if there was anyone that could come stay with you?
Yeah, they did. And because I didn't have any family, I just said, I had my 2 business partners who were really good friends, and I asked if they could come.
Did you have to tell them where to?
Some motion that was filed over the lunch hour?
Yes,
I haven't seen it. What is it?
it's a 10.1 motion that I thought was filed yesterday, but they just brought a notary in today.
For a change of judge again?
Correct.
Whoa, wow. She wants to change the judge in the middle of the trial.
Yes, that can be referred to the criminal presiding judge. We can deliver a copy to Judge Green today, and I'm sure she'll get to it as soon as she can.
Oh, why does she want the judge to recuse?
But we'll proceed with trial.
Okay.
She said, okay.
Let's bring in the jury. Can I remind the witness, you are somewhat soft-spoken, so try to remember to get as close to that microphone as you can.
You could go cross examination.
Sure, what do you guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing during the week. As I work, I'll have Lori on because Lori is not too much of a distraction. That Karen Reed trial is a distraction. Okay. Ellie said, "What does a court reporter have over her mouth?" I noticed a court reporter in the Karen Reed has one as well. That is how they transcribe. That is, I started seeing that during my public defense. No, if we go back to Mississippi, did they do it that way or not? I cannot remember. Too much time has lapsed. But that is how court reporters transcribe. A lot of them no longer type. Ali said, "Oh, hell no." If I was in his shoes or situation, I'd never be married. Listen, I'd not do that either. If somebody set me up like that, traumatized for life. For life. There's no freaking way. No freaking way. All right. Ali said they spent a lot of time together, loving those famous Lori enchiladas. And then, so where is the cross-examination? Where's the cross? Yeah, but I'm gonna be listening to Lori during the day as I'm working, because she's not too much of a distraction. She's all right. I just what? Maybe she only crossed for what, a minute? Come on. East Idaho. Come on.
Broke. We were talking about after the shooting, correct?
Correct.
In terms of your movement, you told us that the Jeep had gone, I'm going to take this out of the shiny gloss, took hole, and you were here, and that's where you saw it.
Yeah, there's you can't see from this aerial view, but there's just like a fence and there's nothing else there. It's just bushes. So you can see almost that whole street there on Waite from where I was sitting.
Which direction was your car facing? Towards Fry or away from Fry?
Towards, my nose was pointed towards Fry.
I cannot find
So
the
you were able to see the Jeep then continue and turn down this street?
Correct.
After that, did you see the Jeep again?
I didn't.
Where did you go? What was your return route back to your house?
I did a U-turn there on Cole, and then I turned onto Waite, and I drove down Waite, and then back onto Phelps.
So sort of following
Somebody said Lori's voice went from "I'm sick" a baby voice to just a normal voice.
the path of the Jeep as well until you got to Phelps?
Yeah, and then I just pulled into my driveway.
Okay.
And then I sat and waited for an officer.
Recovery.
Were you on with 911 during that whole time?
I was.
Share defense. Exhibits 4, 9, 13, and 14. When you came back to your house, well, let me ask you, I want to ask you some distance. When you first arrived at your house and you saw that Jeep, you told us you'd never seen it before. Can you tell us approximately how far away you were from the?
In a black Tesla Model X.
I opened that door, and then the whole window just fell right there. And most of it kind of stayed together, like I think the window.
Where's the cross?
Told them that you thought there might be 2 people. Why did you think that?
Is that Lori's?
That
A little bit on the driveway.
Okay.
I mean, she's saying, okay, that sounds.
You also told them that you thought there might be 2 people. Why did you?
And come through the window.
Ways to explain what happened?
What was these are allegations, okay? I don't know. I don't live in Arizona. I don't know these people. But I'm trying to figure out why, if it's true, why would Melanie involve her aunt and uncle? And why would the aunt and uncle agree? Were they going to split? It sounds like life insurance. Were they going to split life insurance money, or what exactly is going on?
Happened?
I was just trying to figure out why a bullet didn't come through the window. A bullet should always go through the window was what was going on in my mind. So I was trying to come up with a reason.
So you didn't know through this whole call
That's not Lori.
that your car itself had been hit?
No.
Yeah, that's not Lori.
We hear that you, when you got into the driveway, a loud crash.
Yes.
What was that?
I'm trying to find
A little bit on the driveway.
Okay, so it's coming up right now.
You also, why did
Could have been.
putting exhibit driving test?
Correct.
Cool.
Yes.
So there was some time actually before the Jeep was able to follow and catch up with you.
I was just surprised.
A little slower.
Yes.
Now, get up to Cole and Parna. Did you ever see anyone
As in a
in the
person.
vehicle, in the Jeep?
I didn't see who was driving the Jeep.
When you saw the rear window go up, you couldn't see who was in the back?
I didn't get a look at a person, no.
And then when the Jeep turned, you're looking in your rear view mirror towards it?
Yes, and then because I noticed it, I turned my body and looked out across.
Come on, Cross.
The operator referred to the officer as a he. When the female arrived, bullet hole in your car?
She did, yes.
When you saw that, what happened physically to you?
Come on now.
Still sort of that someone had tried to kill you.
Yes, I remember I texted
Where is this cross-examination?
As you were experiencing all these
business partners who were
the street to kind of, where did that interview take? The first patrol officer, Detective Pillar, did he ask you if you knew anyone who'd want to harm you?
yes.
What was yours?
Do you remember a lot of your interaction with that first officer?
To be honest, like the part that I remember the most is just when I saw the bullet hole, and I think maybe just kind of got a little bit of shock because it was real when I called 911. But then I kept thinking to myself, a bullet didn't come through my window, and I just, when I saw that, I just realized, like, no, someone is 100%.
Detective Pillar.
Where's the cross?
Yes, I do.
And who was that?
It was two people. It was Lori and Alex.
Is that Lori Vallow?
Lori Vallow and Alex Cox.
So the morning of October 2nd of 2019, did you tell the police to tell Detective Pillar that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox had been involved in an incident in July of 2019 in Chandler, Arizona?
I did.
Did you think that that incident had something to do with this?
I did.
You were asked by the police, or do you recall being asked by the police if you had any Melanie's relationship with Lori Vallow?
I did.
So during the time you had known her, you were aware that she and Charles Vallow had lived in Texas.
Correct.
Did it seem relevant? October 2nd, when you were shot at, and she
Oh, yeah, you sure she actually
outside those
Yeah,
two
but-
neighbors and two friends who knew was living?
No, I did not.
And on October 2nd of 2019, did you know where Alex Cox was living?
No, I did not.
But in July of 2019, you knew they were living in Chandler, Arizona. Or
Yes, I did.
Lori Vallow was living there. Did you ever learn that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox moved to Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes, I did.
Did Melanie ever move out of Arizona?
Can you restate that?
Sure. Did Melanie, your wife, or maybe by then your ex-wife, ever move out of Arizona?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall when she moved out of Arizona?
The end of October 31st or November 1st, 2019.
And did you learn where she moved?
Next door to Lori.
Oh, wow.
In
Idaho.
Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
The state has no other questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, I need to take a couple-minute recess to sort out an issue. I'll have the jury retire to the jury room. Please remember the admonition.
All right, you may be seated. The jury is no longer present. Do you have some exhibits that you could use, or what are you missing, or?
I don't have any exhibits that I need. My investigator has he has the whole file. He has the whole file on Brandon. I tried to get it from him last night, but was unable to get
Are there
in
being
contact.
arrangements made? Maybe your paralegal can pick it up from him tonight or someone?
We're trying to do that, exactly.
Why they say,
Um,
and that's what I've said.
do
I
you have
don't
another witness?
know. It seems like Lori is really on her own here. Why did the investigator not turn everything
Is here,
over?
do you mind going out of order?
Your Honor, if that's necessary, we can go out of order so that we can continue proceeding today.
Okay. I'll inform the jury that normally, as we said in the preliminary instructions, that there'll be a direct examination, a cross-examination, and then a redirect examination. But this time we're going to take a witness out of order, and the defense will cross-examine Mr. Boudreau at a later time in the trial. If you need me to contact OPDS to try to get something done with
All right.
getting a
So
hold of your investigation.
no cross of the alleged victim. All right, folks. Let's see. What is Ali saying? It's coming up right now. No. When was the cross? Because I mean, it says unless it was later during the day. Let's see. That's a different tie. That girl is out there cross-examining somebody. No, I don't know that. I don't think Boudreau was cross-examined on day one. Doesn't appear to be the case. Let's see. All right, Allie's gonna email me later. Have an update for you about all the stuff that was going on when we talked. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, folks, I'm gonna call it a night. I need to go. I'd like to stay up here and mess around with Lori, but I'm exhausted, and I have to be in the office pretty early tomorrow, all week really. I have to be in the office early because I want to get out early. I want to get out early on Friday, so I need to make up my hours. All right, folks, you guys have a good start to the week. We'll reconvene on Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll cover what's her name again? Karen Reed. And then I'll try and get some shorts out. I'm up late, so probably not. Probably Wednesday we'll get some shorts out. All right, folks, I am out. I need to go. This girl needs to be in bed. I don't know why she's not in bed. I don't know why she got out of her room.